Man, that's hot. All right. If you're just tuning in, go ahead and hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Go ahead and throw 50K in the chat. 50K is symbolizing the 50K sub movement we have this year. As we know, we will get 50,000 subscribers to the channel to have uncomfortable, controversial conversations. I am your host of the Charm Hour, Boy Drew the Charm God. And here's where we have uncomfortable, controversial conversations. Primarily, this channel is about relationships. We talk about different things at times, but primarily we are talking about relationships and how it affects the black family. Everybody is encouraged to chime in. Everybody is encouraged to be a part. That is definitely okay. Um, and you can get something from it. It doesn't matter what part of the world you're in or what part of the country. But at the end of the day, I'm talking about the relationship dynamics and between men and women, specifically black men and black women, because that is where the issue lies, is between black men and black women in our relationships. We need healthier relationships because we need healthier communities. We often do not talk about, you hear a lot of people talking about our dysfunction, but rarely do you hear people talking about the solution. There's rarely people talking about the solutions or why we have the level of dysfunction that we actually have. You really don't hear that. In the dating space, again, we just talk about dating. There's really no progression in the marriage. So here I decided to not only talk about all the things that you may see in dating, but how do you progress to marriage? What is it going to take for you to get there? And, I really kind of look at this year as I assemble and put together the message that it's a series. You can go back and look at certain things that I've said and be like, okay, I can all put this together and see where he's coming from. What's problematic? What do we have that's a problem in our community? And what are some areas that we need to fix? So, what I'll be talking about today, I'm just really going to hop right into it. What I'm going to be talking about today is the role that women play. That's what I'm going to talk about today. And specifically, I'm going to talk about the role. Hit that like button. What I'm going to talk about today is and by the way, y'all, when y'all hitting the like button, we want YouTube to, promote the channel. That's why we hit the like button. So I just want y'all to hit that like button. Every time you come in, hit that like button, hit the share button, subscribe, because we turning up on the channel. We want YouTube to recommend the channel so, we can turn up and have these conversations. But today, I'm specifically starting with black women when I have this conversation. When I have the conversation today that we're going to have, we're going to have, well, get everybody to hit that like button so it ain't only you. Hey, we got some people rolling in. Y'all just hit the like button. Just as you come in, hit that like button. Let's get them likes up. Let's go. Hit the like button. Don't just come in and stare. Go ahead, hit a like button on this Sunday morning as we get into this message. The one thing that I want to talk about today is the position that black women play in our community. It isn't discussed enough. It isn't discussed their importance. And I have two places that I'm going to cover when I talk about this. Two places that they're really tied into that affect our community. And I'm starting with them because they have some of the most important part of the conversation when we talk about relationships. Y'all go ahead and hit that like button though. Let's get them likes up. Let's go ahead and get them likes up. Hit that like button before I get into this. Again, I'm talking about black women and I'm talking about specifically their role in our society and our community. And I'm talking about the black community, by the way. This message, again, everybody can listen. Everybody can be a part of the message. But as I talk about the issues of relationship, I'm specifically aiming everything that I talk about to black people because I feel like we suffer the most. Black people have the biggest issues in relationships. When you look at the divorce rate, when you look at the out of birth, the birth rate out of wedlock, when you look at it, it's all very high. So I dive into our concepts of relationships. How do we, because we out here having babies at the end of the day. We out here having children. We having children. We're having relations with each other, but we're not getting married. And that's a problem that has to get solved. But if we're going to solve that problem, we're going to have to get into like the meticulous finite points of the problems that we're having. We're going to have to get inside and dig through it and say, okay, exactly what's going on here. How do you dissect? When you're looking at a problem, when you have a problem in life, you have to look at the issue and ask yourself questions about it. Why is it this way? What can I do to change it? What can I do for myself to make these changes so I'm not going through these things? You have to do that. You have to assess everything. Everything in life is an assessment. Okay, everything in life is an assessment. I'm gonna put you in timeout, man. All that being silly and talking in the comments. Just listen to the message. If you're gonna be here, listen. Go ahead, hit the like button. Ain't no need for y'all to come in and troll this morning. You can come get it. You can come get what I'm finna put down, or you can just go ahead and leave. It don't matter, because it's gonna live out here in the internet land. Y'all go ahead, hit the like button. Hit the like button. I know y'all can hear me. Go ahead, hit that like button. But when I'm talking about, again, how it pertains to when I'm talking to, you have to assess a situation, you have to assess a problem, and once you assess that problem and you look into what's going on, and after your assessment you have all your information come back, you can start saying, okay, these are the issues. That's the tough part, explaining the issues, and then we can get into solutions. So that's what I do here on this channel. And I've led up to this message just through different discussions. But primarily what's going to end up happening every time we have this discussion, we're going to go back to one place, and we're going to go back to black women. You know, um, in case black women don't understand why they're being dialogued a lot about in this arena of dating, or the red pill manosphere world, whatever you want to call it, is because she's the most essential part to the conversation. She is the most essential part to the conversation because she's the piece that matters the most. I'm not talking about value. I'm not talking about value. I'm not talking about importance or anything like that. But what I'm simply talking about is, when I say she matters the most, she matters the most because I think collectively we care about her the most. That's women, men, and children. We need women in our society, in our community. I think we can all agree with that. We need them. So if our women are functioning high, and I don't want to start using that whole like low function, high function and talk. I don't even want to get into that Cheyenne Bryant dialogue or how she uses the word, but I'll just say um, at her optimal. If you have a woman that's functioning at her optimal, then society just fares better. Because at the end of the day, women are the thermostats. They control the temperature in our community. If women are very happy, then typically we're going to be happy. But if women are sad, then typically we're going to be very sad. And so the two most important places where a woman is that matters the most is going to be in motherhood and in her relationship. In motherhood and in her relationship. These are the two places where she's going to be where it really matters the most. And I'm going to go into motherhood first, especially how it pertains to the black community, because that filters into the relationship. That filters into the relationship. Yes, often a lot of times when we talk about single parent homes, the mother may have been left, the mother may have been abused. I don't always know exactly what the situation is, but often, whatever the case may have been, she's going to filter that feeling into her child. She's going to filter those feelings into her children, especially if she's had some type of issue with their father. If she's had some type of issue with the father, and she's got to do all the work and she has to govern these children on her own, she will pass those feelings and examples to the children, and that's very important. It's hard to ridicule a woman from that space, especially if we don't feel that she's at fault of that. It's hard to ridicule and critique somebody when you're a single parent and you have to raise the children, you have to play the role of a man. It's hard to accept that she needs to be responsible and accountable for whatever these children become, because it ultimately is on her. That's a tough conversation to have, but that's a very real conversation to have. The truth is, in life, and see, this is not going to be an easy conversation. I'm not preferencing anything. I'm not going to sit up here and excuse anything. I'm not going to put down the woe is me campaign. We just got to talk facts, because at the end of the day, And like I've discussed on this channel many times before, if people were having less, uh, intimacy outside of marriage, if they kept it in the marriage, I think a lot of the single parent households, we would cut that down. I don't think you remove that because you got people that's widows. You have all sorts of things that may happen in the course of someone's lifetime to where they have to raise children by themselves. But a lot of the out of wedlock births that cause single parent households is because there is no institution of marriage installed. So at the end of the day, if you're taking care of a child, and this goes for fathers too, if you're taking care of a child, everything that the child becomes is on you. All the responsibility of whatever that child is on you, whatever that child becomes. So if you were the parent at home raising the child, teaching the child what to do, building a relationship with the kid, whatever the case may be, then however they turn out in society is definitely on you. Whatever that is. Whatever that is, that's on you. One of the main instructions that need to be given to children when we're raising them is just the basics, the do's, the don'ts, the yes, the no's of what they can and can't do, what's right or wrong, or whatever the case may be. And then you do have to get some kind of install to them about relationship. They have to understand relationship in just society as a whole, how they act as a friend, how they act as a family member, how do they act in the workplace. They are going to learn that from their mother, their father. If they're just at home with the mother, then they're going to learn that from their mothers. And when you talk about the black community, there's a lot of people that grew up with just their moms. They grew up with just their mothers. So when you really look, I agree to a point. Many good people that grew up in terrible households change. Um, I'm not saying that you can't change. I'm not saying, and y'all more than welcome. When I read comments like that, that's in line with what I'm talking about. I read it. Y'all go ahead and hit that like button as y'all come in. I would really appreciate that. Again, we want YouTube to recommend this conversation, and I feel like the conversation we're having right now is one of those that we want YouTube to recommend so we can have it. Listen. There is not there is not a there is not a situation in life. There is not a situation in life that comes your way that can't change you for the better or sometimes change you for the worse. I understand that people can come up in a terrible household and change. I totally understand that. But I'm really talking about some of what I'm going to be discussing or the more things that we're aligned with. I'm not talking about extremes where when I'm talking about violence or anything like that. I'm not really going to discuss that. Um I'm talking about some of the cultural issues we have, even though you have those variables of people that may not exemplify what they came up in. A lot of what we have going on in the black culture, we can say things. I'll give you a prime example. Seeing women walk outside with their bonnets on. I've seen a bunch of women walk outside with their bonnets on. That's a cultural issue to me. When I think about our people, our women driving outside with their bonnets on, that's not something that my grandmother would have approved of. That's not something of the women of back in the day, the baby boomers. That's not something that they knew better than that. You don't just go out there, man. Most of these women be out here in bonnets on. We just gonna get to it right now. I'm not gonna beat around the bush and keep asking me questions if you think that this is out the way. But we got women out here pretty much going outside in their pajamas on with their bonnets. There was a lady here in Houston, Texas, in Madison High School, had to tell the women to not come up there with their bonnets on and their moo-moos, and the women got mad and pissed off. And I'm talking about this was a large group of women doing this. When you see your mama acting that, and you see your mama acting a fool, and you see your mama being disagreeable, what you think that's going to do to you? So when I'm talking about, I'm taking a nice way to get to some of these valid points that we deal with. But when I'm talking about, raising the child and the child being on you, And you're supposed to put all these cultural installs if you're the single parent, if it's all on you, because this is kind of what we're addressing. When we address our community, a lot of what we gonna be talking about with our people is gonna be a lot of mommy issues, because that's primarily who's everybody been raised by. And what you want to do is, and changing that is, you want to start making marriage cool again so we can have a male influence in there. Now we gotta address men too. We not addressing men right now. We're gonna address men, and we address men on this channel. But right now, who's the most vocal person in the community is black women. So I'm gonna go talk to black women. I'm gonna, if we want to change their mindset in dating and parenting, then we have to address things that we feel like are dysfunctional. But of course, kids need their dads. But if you're growing up in the household with just your mama and you ain't got your daddy, you gonna have some issues. And so, like what I'm saying, do you know how many women I see when I'm driving around now that just come outside with their bonnets on? Even to the point where you got men, boys putting bonnets on. Where we do that at? Why is that? Why we don't? It's like anything that we do in our culture. And when I speak on it, I've been called a coon. I get talked about a lot of times. But what I really want people to understand is how bad it looks, what message it sends. And it really it says a lot to do. Let me tell you something. When you going outside your house, don't you want to be presentable? So you don't mind just leaving outside your house with this bonnet on, with them pajamas on, driving and going to the store. We also talk about this overly sexualization of our women. Okay, some of them, when you come out that house, you ain't got no drawers on. You got just your pajama pants on and your bonnet. You probably, sometimes I've seen women out here with no bra on, just got their shirt on. How is that cool? Then remember, I just told you a few moments ago about this principal who had to tell these women at Madison High School to stop coming up there like that. They needed to come up there presentable. And these women have children. These women have children and are in the dating space. A lot of times these women have attitudes. A lot of these women have attitudes and are difficult to deal with. And where did they learn that from? Their mothers. Then when you get down to it, a lot of these women, when you get to talking to them after a while, they got issues with their mama. The black daughter, I said this before too, the black daughter, the black mother relationship is one that has a lot of tension in it. There's a lot of tension in that black mother, black daughter relationship. And there's a lot of dysfunction in it too, which filters out into relationships. Y'all, black women have too much of an important position in the community to not get critiqued. But you can't be critiqued with hatred. See, a lot of men that are in the space, right, talking about women can't get none. So they just don't like women. They're not even trying to understand women. They don't want to be compassionate to anything. And in that, those are the elements to help and hold somebody accountable. Because I've said this before too. If we don't hold y'all accountable in the community, who gonna hold y'all accountable? I want to cook today. I really want to cook. I don't care if it's 2 people in here. I don't care how many people come in here. I want to cook and I'm going to lead this up. I really want to get into this because this is so very important to our community. You really have seen the relationship space blow up because women are the people that we're talking to. Black women are the people that we're talking to. And look how that whole dating space just blew up. But I don't want to exploit it for some type of gain. I don't want to exploit it to come up. I really think we need to be talking about it and dialoguing so we can make some real changes. And it starts with that mama. It starts with that mama. We've heard stories of what mamas be doing at home. We used to make jokes on Comic View. If y'all ever looked at Comic View, that was around the time when you had Def Comedy Jam and Comic View was on BET, where you have comedians laughing and joking about how black moms beat their kids' ass. Like, I think most of us have had some sort of, joke about our mothers being the disciplinaries in the home, but we never think, like when you hear about people getting whooped with wooden spoons and extension cords, that's kind of the things that we talked about as, as kids, and we made fun of when we became adults. But that's abuse. Getting whooped with an extension cord, getting whooped with certain items, that's abuse. What gets left off the table is most of that came at the hands of mothers, a lot of black mothers. If anybody's offended by this, just turn it off. Don't look. If you're offended, but we got to get into what we know. We know this through conversation. Look, pop culture is going to be a reflection of what's going on privately. So a lot of times, even on social media, we'll get on here and be like, oh, it's just social media. Well, what is social media copying? When we get on these platforms and we look at, different topics that's being presented, what is it reflecting? It's reflecting real-time events from us. Now, some things may be embellished, superimposed, whatever the case may be, but for the most part, we are reflecting what we see through media. Period. It's an opportunity for us to look in different worlds and different cultures, or whatever the case may be. So when you look at all the times that people were making fun of mothers whooping them and how they were whooping them, what were we really talking about? And it's like a lot of times when we're dialoguing, we say we're our parents, but what we're really leaving off the table, because we're afraid to hold our women accountable because of the bite back, the barking that they'll do, is a lot of times that was at the hand of a mother. Your mama was doing that. Your mama was stressed out. Your mama had to work all them jobs. Your mama couldn't convey her emotions. So y'all can't convey y'all emotions right. Your mother has so much influence. Anybody that's in that house governing a child's gonna have influence over them. We're just talking about who happened to be there at the time. So when you have, you know, bonnet attitude woman going up to the school, where she get that from? Where she learn that from? Got an attitude at the job. Where you learn that from? How you walking out the house? Where you learn that from? How you date men? Where you learn that from? If you seeing your mama, I'm gonna tell you something else. There's a lot of single mothers that date so much and they have so many different men they deal with. Their children are looking at that. Your child is looking at the instability of that. Especially if it's a situation where you have the kids most of the time. If you got the kids most of the time, they need you to be the highest of the highest moral compass. And women, a lot of times, will fight for the custody for their own personal leverage instead of raising the kids. Y'all know that this happens. Y'all hit that like button when y'all come in here. We want everybody in this conversation because YouTube ain't going to recommend it on its own. Y'all hit that like button. But we know that this is happening. Mothers will sit up. A lot of these mamas, I'm going to say mama, a lot of these mamas will sit up and have adult conversations with their children because they're mad at the father. You have grown women who will sit down with a child and tell the child grown up details about what's happening in her relationship. She's venting to her child. She's venting to her child. The child should be taking this information and will want to program the child to have an idea about their parent. I just seen something right now about I just seen something right. Amen. Throw 50K in the chat. We definitely having church. That's what I want to do on Sunday. When I look, I have a lot of different lives throughout the week, but on Sundays we gonna have some church. This is where I really want to get real, and I just want to have good conversations and really just say what be going on. I just seen something with Tyrese where the girl that his daughter that he was paying child support for, he doesn't pay it now. She's 18, realized that everything that her mama told her was a bunch of crap. and she chose her daddy's side. I don't like talking about what side to choose, but she realized that her mama was feeding her a bunch of crap. Women do that all the time. Just because that man got an issue with you, just because that man has an issue with you, does not mean he has an issue with the children. There are a lot of men that aren't, they just see, they're going to say that man's a deadbeat. These women will go out and say that because they're never going to say what happened. Women don't tell you everything. I don't really expect them to tell the truth most of the time. It wasn't hard for me to plainly see that Megan Thee Stallion was lying about sleeping with Tory because they always do that. Not to get too far off topic. I done spilled coffee on myself, man. Y'all hit that like button when y'all come on in here. Come on in here and get this message. Come on in here and get this word. We got a word today. I'm past the charm God today. Women are never going to tell you what truly happened in a relationship. They're never going to say that. You don't know what's going on. So even to their children, they'll want to look a certain way. There are kids that were not around their father's side of the family because the mama didn't even make the effort or had some kind of prevention to keep the kid from that side of the family for whatever reason. A lot of y'all saying, why you make the effort? If you are the parent that has the child, it is your responsibility to provide this child with the fullest extent of knowledge of who they are and where they came from. Yes, I get it. You hear the same old thing all the time. Where he didn't make an effort, he didn't come through, but make it available. Some of these women aren't even letting it be available because they got an issue with the man. This really happens. So how many women in the modern generation saw this? How many, the baby boomers had some information that could have been applied in a better way, but for the most part, baby boomers are at the helm when we talk about the modern woman because that's where they got their examples from. So this modern woman looked at a dysfunctional relationship between her mother and her father, and she saw her operate in a dysfunctional manner inside of the house. And then that's her cultural install, and she thinks it's normal. Her version of independence came from that. They're not talking about real independence. Independence in the sense of you're taking care of your household. You may not be able to ask anything from anyone. You got to get it out the mud. You have to, and you owe money because you're on child support. They don't have to. They still have a level of dependency no matter how independent they are. I've said this before on this channel. I've dated women that have made 70 grand plus and still couldn't manage their money. I've dated women in the six figures. I've been with women in the six figures and they ain't have no money still. Y'all can cap for the app all y'all want to. A lot of y'all don't have no money. You may even be a high income earner. You're not managing it well. That's a lot of them. Man, y'all hit the like button. Don't come in here and just watch. Don't just come get the game, hit the like button. And I'm really asking nicely. I don't mean to come off and be so mean. You know what I'm saying? I don't mean to sound like that, but I really want y'all here. One, I want y'all here and I want y'all hitting the like button and I want YouTube to recommend our channel as we had this conversation. Mr. Jones, Mr. Jones, you are not wrong. If the father moves on and gets him a woman, the woman lose her mind, make it difficult for you to see the kids, make it difficult for you to be around the kids, all because of how she feels. And see, men can move on a lot easier than women can. Men can move on and get a replacement. They can't. This is all what's going to happen to them is somebody just going to be dropping D in them. At the end of the day, they may get screwed. Somebody gonna come put some meat in her, but ain't nobody trying to re-wife her or repurpose her, especially if she got a bunch of kids and they don't want to hear that. It's really best for y'all to stay in y'all relationships. If it's a man that love you, even if he's cheating on you, even if he's having some issues, I'm just being honest. As long as he's not whooping up on you, y'all need to figure that out. Of course, put God at the center. I ain't got there yet. But you do have to put God at the center. And a man that is coming into his own is going to realize that he needs to govern himself and take care of that family and not be out in the streets like that. I've talked about that. We ain't there yet. But what I'm really saying is a lot of y'all walking away from relationships, and that's the only chance of somebody really unconditionally love you. Every man don't want to pick y'all up for no wife. Every man does not want to pick y'all up and take y'all on as no wife. Not at all. But if you get into a new relationship, they tripping out. A lot of that dysfunction with that woman is going to come from her mama. It's going to come from her mama. I knew of a lady that told her daughter that she should have male friends. She telling her this in high school, that she should have male friends. She should have multiple male friends. What does that mean? And why are you telling somebody, and this is a true story, why are you telling a young lady that in high school? But that's a single mama who herself was going out into the streets, dating different men, having different men do things for her, instead of practicing the life of chastity and just waiting to get a husband. And you had children. But you out here saying that she needs to go out and have multiple male friends. That came from a mama. That mother's not teaching that young lady what it takes to keep a man. That mother is not going out here and showing her, exemplifying what a woman should be on the daily, even cooking. A lot of these women that can't cook, they can't cook because ain't nobody teach them how to cook. Or women have too much of an important role in our society to be out here promoting the wrong things. So when I talked about making this message about what's her position, it's really not, she has two positions. A woman has two important positions in society. Thank you, I got this. Wife and mother. I'm going to say that again. A mother has two important positions in society. That's wife and mother. And if she don't want to be no wife and she don't want to be no mother, where are we at in society? Where are we at in society when a woman doesn't want to be a mother? See, a lot of these women was raised to be independent whores. Oh, man. A lot of these women was raised to be independent whores. Go to college, get an education, make some money, travel, make sure he got some money, and ain't said nothing about being no wife. Ain't said nothing about being no wife. Ain't said nothing, man. I had to sip the coffee on that one, Mr. Jones. Ain't said nothing about being no wife. And so when you out here looking for a traditional man, but you not a traditional woman, what do we have? What do we have when you are looking for a traditional man, but you're not a traditional woman? We have a dilemma. Most of these women can't cook, man. The old saying of a way to a man's heart is through his stomach. They don't even think about that. They want you to take what has happened. The modern woman has become someone that expects service and only service. And everything you do, you have to be subservient to them. And if you're not doing that, then it's a problem. And because they're thermostats, meaning that they control relationships or the emotional temperature around the society in the house, they'll just, it's like a thermostat just out of control. It's like a thermostat is out of control. When they not happy, this is where that whole happy life, happy wife, happy life thing came from. Because what that was saying is, as long as her thermostat is in control, we good in here. So whatever she thinks we need to be doing, we gonna do that because she could just trip out, make it. She can withhold sex. She can be unhappy in the house. She can really just do what she wanna do. Nobody's going to stop her. And unfortunately, the only two ways that you're going to get any type of reaction out of her is doing two things. Is domestic violence and leaving her. I'm not promoting domestic violence. I'm not saying do that. In fact, you never need to put your hand on a woman. But I'm talking about the two things that she's going to respond to is if you are going to get violent or leaving her. And it shouldn't have to come to that. You know, there's a lot of discussion on grandma where she was unhappy and she stayed. Marriage ain't about being happy all the time, and it's not about being in love. It's about holding your family together and looking into the future. So where did that even come from? Wanting to be happy and wanting to spend up all the money. Because if you've been with a woman and you've lived with a woman long enough, they want you to spend money. I don't care if she a wife, whore, whatever the case may be. They want you to spend money and be spending a lot of it all the time. You have to control them and be like, no, we're not doing that at times. So if you have the two most important positions is wife and mother, and you're not really doing well at those positions, what you think gonna happen in society? Now you done got this whole conversation of the whole phase. Now the whole phase is a part. So what's a whole phase? What is it? What is that? They'll say things. They hey, it's just like when they make up these words in media that you've never heard, or these social media words that they just make up and you've never heard them before. It's like, well, what does that really mean? That's just a pop culture term. So when you talk about the whole phase, what is that? How is the whole phase helping you? Here's the truth. You either a wife or a hoe. You might be both, but you either a wife or a whore. That's it. Because if you not married, you gonna be having sex. They're lying just they don't be celibate like that. You're gonna be having sex. So if you're not married, if you're not a wife, you're a whore. If you're having sex. Now you might not be. You might if you doing right and living by the Lord, and I'm gonna say this too. A lot of them use religion as a veil to hide a bunch of bullshit as well. I just had to say it like that. I want to self-censor, but I don't want to self-censor myself. A lot of them, a lot of them will. It ain't no in between, and a lot of them will use God. They'll hide behind God and don't be serving no God. Oh, God bless me. See, a lot of times when our women are talking about God, they're talking about in terms of all the things that God will do for them. Never the suffering part of serving the Lord. There's a suffrage. There's a suffering part in serving the Lord because there are times when you can't get an answer right now. You just got to go through it. There's a time your marriage is really exemplary of the relationship between man and God. Your marriage is that because you need redemption, you need forgiveness. It's so many elements in that relationship and that marriage that you need that's God aligned. And a lot of them don't want to do that. A lot of them do not want to do what it takes to really be in that marriage or be serving God. Because a lot of the times when you're doing righteous things and the right things, there aren't always rewards. It isn't always good. It doesn't always feel good. So they'll hide behind that a lot of times too. Well, God got me do it because are you following his instructions? And if you following his instructions and you not being a wife and you out here being a whore, then don't tell me you serve God. We just gonna go ahead and cancel that right now. No, you ain't gotta be perfect. We not perfect. We all fall short. But don't be out here parading around the Lord's name and you really don't do that. You're very picky and very choosy on what you want to get into in terms of the Bible. You're very you pick and choose what you want to look at and what you don't want to look at. And that's what you have with a lot of our women. Now imagine she watched her mama do that. She's the modern woman and she watched her mother do that. She watched her mother parade around in church and say she was this and say she was that, but she also saw her mother whore. How many of these women got to see a virtuous woman? How many of these women got to watch a woman really doing the right thing? How many on boys and girls? How much of an impact did that whore mother make on them kids? See, y'all think I don't want y'all to get it confused because you're gonna get this next. This is coming. This is gonna come down the pipeline. You'll have them women that'll be like, who hurt you? Y'all hit that like button when y'all do me a favor and hit that like button when y'all come in. Just tap that like button because again, we want YouTube to recommend this channel and this discussion. Really primarily want them to recommend this discussion that we are having this morning. That mother has had a big influence on them children. And what's gonna happen is, this has happened to me before. People will get in the comments, "Oh, you hurt. Who hurt you?" That's always the response. Who hurt you? Why is that even a response? Why does somebody have to hurt me for me to be able to look at something in our society and critique it? Y'all just don't want to be critiqued. Or some of the language that I'm using, he's misogynist. They'll just throw out terms because they don't want anybody to critique them. But going back to it, your mama taught you them examples. If that lady show up to you and don't have a normal, listen, if that woman shows up to you and does not have the basic understanding of relationship, basic, and how to deal and respond to a man, and she was raised by her mama, who you gonna blame? So who we gonna blame when she shows up? She's not equipped for the relationship. She's not equipped at all for this relationship. She can't cook. Who are we gonna blame? She has no understanding of how to be in the family. Who should we blame? And instead of us, and this is the part, the light part of the conversation. I'm not saying continue to. This is not a bash women moment. This is we need to correct those positions. You should want to be a wife if you gonna have kids, especially. Now you ain't got kids. You want to just be out here all willy nilly? That's on you. That's another topic for another day. I will say this though: single, loose leaf women out here that's horn still gonna cause issues unless you're gonna put them in a place of a professional environment for doing that. Because when you have these women, that's how do you think you get into these Joy Taylor situations, even though she had a husband? But when you have these frisky women out here with no morals, they will, I don't want to say break up happy homes, but in some ways you can say that. Because when women are not, I had this term called UDE, underdicked energy. When women aren't getting what other women are getting, they will get jealous, they will be unhappy, they will sabotage. They do it to one another. And they definitely do it to us as men, but they will do it to one another. Even in the Bible, it talks about a woman having her own husband, a husband having his own wife. Because of what? Because we be having sex. So, women should totally seek out being wives. It shouldn't be this whole, especially if you have children. Now, if you're a widower, or your husband left, or whatever the case may be, man, that's just definitely where prayer got to come in. Because I don't have the answers to that. I'm just talking about how things ought to be. I don't have the answer for everything. Y'all hit that like button when y'all come in. I appreciate y'all for that. Appreciate them likes. I don't have the answer for everything. But if you have children, before you have children, if you have the intention on having children and you have the intention on having sex, you need to indeed want to be a wife. There's nothing wrong with you wanting to be a wife. But before we get into making you a wife, which I think would definitely make you a happy mother, is how do you even be in a relationship? So we've talked about the mother and what happens to the mother. A lot of times the mother has a bitter, if there's no man there, we don't know exactly what happened in the relationship. We don't know who to blame, but we do know that that mama ain't gonna never blame herself. That woman's never gonna say anything about herself. She is definitely going to talk about what someone else did. We understand that. But with that being said, well, what's happening in the relationship? Why can't she seem to stay in a relationship? I don't want to go to the boomer era because I have my assumptions, but I think I have a better idea in the modern era why it's difficult for her to be in a relationship. And that brings us to this conversation right here. How you gonna be a wife? How you gonna be in a relationship when you don't cooperate? Every story you're going to hear about men leaving women, it's going to have something to do with what that man did. They're going to always talk about that. Very rare are you going to hear about the issue that man is having with that woman. Because, hey, if I can't cooperate with you and I can't get you to listen and you just going to be difficult, most men are going to want to leave that alone. Most men are going to step away from a situation where a woman does not want to listen and cooperate with them. A lot of times we talk about respect. What is respect? Respect is doing what that man asks, listening to him and doing what he asks, not being difficult all the time. So if I can't even have your cooperation, how am I gonna be in a long-term relationship with you? If I don't even have your cooperation, how am I going to be in a long term relationship with you? Some of these women are very difficult to deal with. So when you think about the modern relationship, and I've talked about this before because I think it does matter. One of the things when you're in a household, and you have two income earners, and they may even be what and what with each other, you know, many women look, I said this before, the value for them is in what they're making, in their money, in their degrees. So when you have someone who is difficult in cooperation, measures themselves in value in the degrees and how much money they make, it's going to be very difficult to get this woman to do what you say. It's going to be very difficult to tell her, we don't need to take that trip. We don't need to do this. She needs some goddamn uh, encyclopedia based uh, uh, document on why you can't do it so she can go ahead and oblige with that. Versus back in the day, your grandma wasn't going to do that to your grandpa for some obvious reasons. A lot of times, those women didn't work. But I'm also say this too. Many times they did work. Many times them women clean. We talking about the black community. They cleaned houses. They did certain things. Black women, I think, have always really worked, and so did Grandpa. But I think they understood working together and why it was necessary. See, we don't understand why it's important to work together today. It's really no different. You should be working with your mate because inflation. Man, listen. I don't care where you at. It's hard to stretch a dollar. Groceries are expensive. Living is expensive. It is very expensive. And we are allowing people to get out here and cap like they got a bunch of money. But it's okay, how much money do you have, big baller? Even if you making between $100 and $150,000 in a year, if you have a family, that's not a lot. Depending on the size of your family. If you by yourself, you can make it work. If it's two of y'all, you can make that work. But the average income, again, in the United States is not that anyway. You starting to talk about a different percentile when people are making that much money. When we are talking about average income, you're talking about 30s, 40s, 50s. So how we don't need each other still in this time frame? Most of these women are conditioned to think that their life has to be having a passport, having some fancy car that they can't afford, and a house outside of their budget. And that's an install for them. That's what I do think came from the baby boomer. That materialism definitely came from the baby boomer. Because the men are materialistic too. Baby boomer men have issues as well. The boomer generation is one that is just crowded with a bunch of crap. But I will say that one thing that I think came from the modern woman, what came from the baby boomer, is materialism. One of these, yeah, a bag that costs $30,000. So they want all this, they want these fancy bags, they want these shoes. And a lot of times they can't. Listen, I'm telling y'all right now, if you've dealt with a woman who has made a nice amount of money, I've dealt with women that were single at the time. This might have been 10 years ago, in the 70s, 10 years ago, $70,000 10 years ago, single woman in Houston, Texas, which ain't bad, and didn't have no money. Women want us to believe that they are superhuman. They want us to believe that they're superhuman. And I do kind of feel like we enable the delusion that they have by not checking that and saying, no, you're not superhuman. And in fact, the things that you're trying to do or that you're attempting to do is not only detrimental to you, but it's detrimental to your entire family. If you just not joining in, today's topic, we are talking about the position of the black woman. We are talking about the position of the black woman in our community and in relationships. I am Boy G the Charm God. This is the Charm Hour Live, where we have uncomfortable, controversial conversations surrounding relationships. Just tuning in for the first time, hit that like button for me, hit the subscribe button, and put 50K in the chat, y'all, because 50K, 50K, what that represents is we are going to get 50,000 subscribers this year on this channel, because we want to have 50,000 people here having uncomfortable, controversial conversations that ultimately will progress society. And that's what we want to do here. And I already know that we're going to do it on this channel in regards to the topics that we're talking about right here, because everybody can be here. Anybody can be here. But I'm talking about relationships and black people. Because black people, we need these conversations. We need conversations, but we need real conversations from experience, and we need to dialogue our feelings about what we've seen and been through from experience. We need experienced people doing this. You really don't have a lot of this going on right now. You have people talking about the dating life and experience and things like that they've had, just topical. But a lot of these people ain't had no long-term relationships. And being engaged to somebody for 10 years don't count. I'm talking about ain't really went through the whole dating, getting married, being married, uh, having that experience with living with a woman for a long time, even dating other women. Talking about what that's like. Even women. We've had women come in here and get in the chat and state their experiences. We've had women do that, which is what we need. We need everybody coming to the table talking about their experience, and that's what we're going to do on here. So when you come in, just hit that like button, throw 50K in the chat. You become a charmer. When you hit the subscription button, You are now trauma. This is a trauma community, but we gonna drop gems in here. We gonna get information, and we gonna grow from each other. Cause I'm gonna learn stuff from y'all too. And see, when people say, Jones, when people say that I'm tripping, right, or that I have men that have gotten me mad at my commentary, but when I'm doing a live like this, or I'm having conversation and dialogue, you confirm what I'm saying is true. When y'all come in and say certain things like this, like, yeah, no matter their career, they're all dealing with the same type of man because they hadn't been taught how to deal with one and how to find one. They hadn't been taught how to deal with a man, how to get a man. And I'm gonna be honest with you. A lot of them were raised by loose mothers who just was dating. They didn't see they didn't see a man that was a pillar in that house. They may have saw different men. That's been their example. Okay, just so I'm not like dogging women out, let me kind of explain that. What I've noticed from having women that are friends, right, that are single, when they're single women, right, they are going to date because they're going to still be having sex. But the thing is, especially if they have kids, or depending on who they are character wise, these relationships turn out to be very temperamental. I had made this statement on TikTok and people was offended, right? Where I said, when a woman measures herself in degrees and how much money she makes, when she's doing that, when she measures herself in degrees and how much money she makes, she's not seeking to be a wife. She sets herself up to be a single mother and or in these temperamental relationships that don't last because they have the same story. These women will be in and out of these relationships fast, not understanding that what got you into the relationship was you giving up the cake, what you was giving up the cookie. That's another thing. They have sex fast. Anybody believe that women be out here just holding it down? They don't. They can go long time. They can go a long time without having sex, and I don't think they have as much sex. And I'm talking about in terms of maybe frequency like a man does, but they have an access to it in a way that men don't because most men want to sleep with them. So these women will get into these relationships quick, all coupled in this whole concept and idea of the whole phase. That's dangerous. That's not good. That's not good for them at all. But they will do this. So again, when you are when you're raising kids and you're raising a family in that environment, what you think these kids gonna see? What you think the girls gonna see? The daughters gonna see? They seeing that. Oh, I could do it all on my own. My mama did it. Your mama ain't do it on her own. Your mama was getting money from them men. Your mama got money from her family, her parents. Cause overall, most women are not good money managers. I don't care what I like point me into the direction. I want to hear stories. I do. I would like for people to get up in here and give me stories of women they saw. This is why the joke is when you get with a woman, even if she got an apartment, car, and all that other stuff, you start hearing about them bills real soon, and you will. This is a fact. No matter the woman, if you get to dropping that D in her and you get to being with her, you going to start picking up her bills and her problems. I said that before. This whole myth and illusion that, you know, it's going to be for free when you screwing them, it's never going to be free. It's never free. It's never free. Man, sometimes you get the game from them. When I was young, I heard my aunt say, you may not pay for it now, but you're going to pay for it later with that lady. You're going to end up paying for it anyway. I was young. I ain't understand what she was saying. I probably was 9. That's another thing, too. Women will drop game. They'll drop game to kids. They will, whether it's appropriate or inappropriate. You've heard of little boys saying things that they've picked up from women that may have been inappropriate. And maybe that wasn't a conversation that should have been had, but I took it and I held on to it to understand that You meet this lady and start dropping D. Yep. So you get it. Yeah. When you're around women, they gonna give you the game. When you dropping D on that woman and y'all got a little relationship going on, she's going to eventually ask you for some money. Now, she may not be like, give me $300, give me $400, but eventually she's going to say she has a problem and she's going to expect for you to fix it. And a lot of the times their problems are money. It's monetary. So it's going to cost at some point. When you're dealing with these women for a long period of time, you'll pick up the trend and you'll start to understand things. And I'd be like, well, damn, you ain't got no money for this, but you going on a trip. So wait a minute now. You don't have no money to pay for that bill that you really need to pay over there. You don't have no money to pay for that bill. And you really need to pay that bill, but you going on a trip. Or you ain't got no money to take care of this over there, but you going to get your hair and nails done. But we'll be under the impression, or they'll have us under the impression that they got it all together and all their bills are together and all that other. They got all their money together. They got everything they need. They gonna have it. They'll have you under the impression that they got their stuff together. Now I could get personal and tell some other personal. I do be telling personal stories on here, but some of these I may not, cause you never know how it might get up out there. But you'll have bills to pay and go get your hair done. I've seen this. See, nobody's talking about this. When we had this conversation, how much better women are doing as far as going to school and getting jobs. Yeah, but do they got money? What type of money do they have in our community that they could even be a political force? To me, it's kind of like you bragging about nothing. Because I know it's bullshit, because when you get with them, they're poor money managers. Then you start to see, okay, that's why you ain't got no money, because you putting all your money in the wrong place. So you putting all your money in a terrible you putting all your money in traveling, in leisure. You got bills to pay, and you're gonna put yourself in a situation where you gotta live outside your means, because they do that too. So you finna be in a position, you want to be in that big nice house. Our women live for others. They don't live for their family. Now I've talked about women being self-serving before. And it's a benefit to a man when you have the right kind of woman. But if she can't control the shadow place, or the shadow side for good, and it becomes a problem in her life, it could be a catastrophe for everybody. Because you want to live for other people. You want to be in a nice car. You want to be in a nice house for other people. That's what you're doing. You're not, it's because, hey, managing money, you should be living, whatever you're making, you need to have a gap of what you need to be able to save some money. And um, you may not be able to, that's true. That psychology degree will have you, in the hole. You may not be able to live where you want to live and drive what you want to drive to go where you need to go. You may have to sacrifice. A lot of these women do not want to sacrifice. They want to be balling. And this is why the discussion of how much money someone makes matter to them, because they just want to spend up all the fucking money. This is me talking in experience. This is coming from experience, having been married over 20 years and living in that, and dating women and seeing how they live their life. Look at when they talk about dating. Why I Okay, this is another reason why we have to be careful with entertaining a lot of their dialogue, because there was a chick, an average looking girl, by the way, on the internet talking about if you make $50,000, you shouldn't be dating. Wait a minute. Now, if I'm making $50,000 annually, you mean to tell me I'm making 50. Let's say I don't have no kids. I don't have enough money to at least go out with you. But see, dating to them is expensive restaurants. Not only is it an expensive restaurant, dating to them is also traveling and taking trips. If you operate like them financially, you gonna be broke. Sprinkle, sprinkle. With her ass. She an average looking chick, dog. Shira is an average. I don't know all her situation. I know she has a lot of subscribers. I know she has a lot of listeners. But for the most part, she's an average looking lady who's got an old dude who's probably older than her. She giving him some cat as much as he want. And yeah, he can give her some money. She's not Joy Taylor. When you bad, see, look, when you fine and bad, like Joy Taylor, you can command some big bucks, big money. It's a lot of average women out here talking about money, and you don't command that. The only thing that you gonna get is the postal worker and the bus driver because you average. When we talk about extraordinary looks, that's the other part. Remember, I talked about women having influence. The other part is you got women that'll come out here and give terrible information like that. So you got a lady like Shira, all that weave in her head, all the little eyeshadowy stuff on, whatever the case may be. It's like, okay, yeah, you might be giving some game to some decent looking chicks or whatnot, but you not bad like that to be commanding who broke and who ain't broke. Most women who look like her, unless they look up and get, now she probably not fat, she probably not overweight. She probably not overweight. No, a man, listen, you get what you get and you don't picture fit. And really, to be totally honest, what men are looking for, it ain't real. When a man comes to his true self, when he comes into the knowing, it's not about the looks, man. I do want you to look good. I want you to be attractive. I want to be attracted to you. But it's really about how this lady treats you and her cooperation level. This is how you can see men. He might go get a chick that other women don't think look as good as the woman he was dating. He ain't never married the other woman. He was just, you know what I'm saying? Hey, Jones, I'm going to make you a moderator. And so anybody that come in the chat, like saying free P. Diddy and all of that, just get them out of here, kick them out. We usually, you know what I'm saying, my the other mod crew may not show up because I started early this morning. I want to be done by at least 11:45, maybe 12. But you know what I'm saying? You can mod and just kick them out of here, man. You got the wrench. Welcome to the mod crew. Got the charm wrench crew. But you got women. Yeah, just block him. I can get him out of here. You have women like that, like Shira, giving this bad information. Joy Taylor is fine, man. That is a fine lady. And when I mean fine, I mean fine. That's a fine lady who can command respect, who can command attention, who can command what she wants. She can get, you know, gorgeous, beautiful women. I think I saw Angry Man put this up. Have first right of refusal. But somebody like Sprinkle, she not fine. She telling y'all how to deal with old men that y'all really not gonna like in the first place. Eventually, that man gonna be 10 to 15 years older than you, taking care of whatever, and you still may have to find out how to get out here and get your kitty cat tingled. Now I'm gonna tell you something. If that man, you tell that man you gonna be his wife, you need to be his wife. Don't be out here being a whore. Be a wife. But I'm just saying, she's an average woman. How do I know this? When you look at Joy Taylor ain't gotta have no makeup on. You fine when you ain't got no makeup on. Listen, there are women out here, no makeup, no lashes, no wig. And let me slide this in here. A beard is not makeup. Because I know they be saying that a lot too. Oh, a beard is, man, this is something that naturally grows on a man's face. So you telling him to cut it off, even if women find it attractive, if you telling him to cut it off, I think I got something in my beard, speaking of which. You know what I'm saying? If you tell women to if you want me to cut this out because women find it attractive because you trying to get me down on your level or even out what I'm saying about you, you tripping. But gorgeous, fine women, no lashes, no wig, uh Joy Taylor don't look like she probably had a boob job. But see, back in the day, like when I was growing up, like 80s and 90s, if you was fine then, you had to be fine for real. It wasn't no sneak in. When you look at these guys like Deion Sanders, uh, Babyface, you looking at these performers, artists, and entertainers from back then, they was getting real. Get those women in their prime to this present day, it's a shutdown. I was just about to say Halle Berry. It's a shutdown. Halle Berry, I seen Halle Berry in Strictly Business. I was 5 or 6 years old. I saw Halle Berry as a kid in Strictly Business and was like, oh my God, that lady was fine. Her, Layla Rashawn, Vanessa Williams, all these women was fine. Women ain't fine like that no more. These women ain't fine like that. These women are not fine. And the uberly gorgeous women that are fine like that, they're going to be with men that got money. They gonna be with men that got money. If you are an average looking woman, you cannot put any type of standard on average income. You are an average looking woman, you're gonna get an average man. You need to work with that. I feel like Kevin Samuels was saying that. From what I've seen, I think he was saying that he was telling them to be real. But what I'm saying is, he make about 40 to 50,000. I don't care what your line is saying you do make. Okay, let's say you making 70. You need to be with him. That's gonna put y'all over in the six-figure income. I already said that, but that's who you need to be with. You can't be making demands as an average-looking woman, or if you have weight on you. That's what he said went viral, but what he was saying was true. If you are an average looking overweight woman, you're going to get an average man. And that average man is still a prize for what he can do for you. A lot of these women are just bypassing men they could be with. But even if they was with a man, even if they were with a man that they legitimately could be with, it's going to be hard for them. It's going to be hard for them to cooperate. Yeah, RIP, man, he was dropping all kind of science and knowledge. He was dropping all kind of science. See, like, when I got on to Kevin, I was already on the path because I had read this book called The Rational Male by Rollo Tomasi. Every man that comes across this channel should go find that book and read that book. That book was suggested to me by my homeboy Rob. And I went and read that book. And when I read that book, it's like my red pill talk, but it was stuff that I'd already lived and I experienced and can explain. And it wasn't woman bashing. It was just breaking down the dynamics of how this stuff goes. And I lived it. If y'all just tuning in, go ahead and hit that like button. Y'all go ahead and hit that like button if you're just tuning in. I do think, okay, black men are treated different with our women. Black men are treated different other places because our women don't hold reverence to us. Our women do not give any reverence to us because they've never had to see any reverence given. And everything that they've ever heard about a black man has been negative. Everything they heard about their daddy was negative. Everything they heard, even in society, when men aren't treating them the right way, is negative. So there's no reverence for us. And because there's no reverence for us, you gonna get treated better. That's why it seems like white women, Spanish women, and everybody else treats us better because of how they respond to us and how they act towards masculinity. Our women don't respond to masculinity well. You can't tell them nothing. And then not only can you not critique them or tell them anything, you got simp ass niggas. I just gotta say it. If I get flagged, I'm sorry. You got simp ass niggas that'll be in their comments or be all over talking about, oh, they not wrong, don't attack them. I get a lot of that. I get a lot of that. Not really on YouTube, but on Facebook. I get a bunch of that on Facebook. You know, some man gets in a comment and wants to defend this woman because I'm checking women as a whole. I'm not checking the woman as an individual, but I'm checking women as a whole because I've experienced women as a whole. I see a lot of the fuck shit that these women be on. Women be on some fuck shit sometimes, and it's like you can't call it out, but I'm gonna call it out. When you on some fuck shit, I'm gonna call it out. So a lot of times, again, it's bad attitudes. You can't say nothing to them. You can't cooperate with them. That's what I was actually talking about moments ago. It's like, okay, we've talked about their most important part of being mothers, but their part when it comes to them being wives, it's like, or being in a relationship, it's just hard to deal with them. Do not want to listen. Very adamant about that. They independent. Well, if you leave, I can do it because my mama did it by herself. And your mama had a whole dysfunctional house that she was putting together or cultivated. And you was a part of that with your dysfunctional ass. You dysfunctional. A man will just get tired. We don't talk a lot about the men that just got tired of the lady that they had at home. A lot of times a man will just be like, man, I might as well just go get me some cat on the side over here. Go get me a beer and some cat before I go home so I don't go off on this lady. That happens a lot. Just don't cooperate at all. Attitude all the time. Or a lot of the time. Or when you were in the dating phase with them, it was all good. The representative, I guess, for them couple years. And then you finally start taking care of them, doing what you're supposed to do, and they get comfortable. Then they don't want to do it as much. Now all of a sudden they don't want to have sex like that. You have those too. So it just seems like black men have a big time struggle with our women on so many different levels. And it's really just how they've been raised. But they have a lot of bad ideology too. Again, going back to this looks thing, how they look. When you listen to the women like Shira, when you listen, now somebody like a Cheyenne Bryant, she not a bad looking chick, but I'm going to be honest. Ma'am, you what, 44? 44, 45? Ain't no young man that's making some good money trying to go wife that up. Even when you got this Jalen Green and this Drea chick, she a bad old chick or whatever the case may be, but man, that dude, she damn near 20 years older than this dude. When this dude really hit his peak, you don't think he trying to get on something young? Y'all got a time slot. That's why a lot of that information is so bad, because if you come with this temperamental idea that you gonna leverage your looks, that's where the BBL thing is coming from. The BBL, the makeup, lace front, all of that is coming from this place of, I know that I can leverage off my looks. Let me make my looks up so I can catch me a man that's going to be subservient to me. That's not going to get you nowhere. Because a man that's willing to put his life on the line for you, at the end of the day, it ain't based in that. It's just not. So they going out here getting BBLs, getting lashes, getting wigs, trying to leverage off their bodies. That's why they on IG, whatever, TikTok, shaking butt, because they're trying to leverage that off to get a man. And that's very temperamental. You need to take some cooking lessons. Take some cooking lessons. I think one of the most impressive things for a man today, whether he's a younger man, a middle-aged man, or older man, is if them pots and pans get the click, 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 click in the kitchen, and a great result is yield from that kitchen. I think that's most impressive to a man right now. Because all y'all got some kitty cat. Not all of it's good kitty cat. But can you cook? Who want to see you shake your ass until the end of time? When you 80, that ass ain't going to even shake like that. You ain't going to be shaking nothing but them bones. I'm just saying, like, women think too temperamental for these relationships. And you're getting bad advice. And if we can't get y'all, like this brother just said right here, and I'm a Navy veteran, by the way, so I know what you're talking about. But just like this brother right here said, black men are treated differently. That shouldn't be the case. We shouldn't feel that way. And I think collectively, black men don't feel like they are catered to the way they should be. I think overall, we feel like that. But the only way we fix that is addressing her mentality. Because if you really just look, I would love to get the statistics on how are men right now in society, black men, how are black men doing in terms of, well, it looks like income wise, average, like the average American. The average black man, the average white man are making anywhere between 40. I'm combining them. Of course, the white male's income is $10,000 above ours, but anywhere from in the 40s to the 50s. So that's just across the board. Most men fall into that category. Your man is in there. But make them pots and pans clank, clank, clank. Man, hey, I've dated some women that don't clean up. I've dated some women that do not clean. There's a lot of women that do not clean up, do not fold up clothes. They do not like doing laundry. They, they talk about the man of the past, but the woman of the past folded laundry and cooked. So you mean to tell me just because you're going to work, what about that man? If that man is living on his own, living by himself, he has to clean up behind himself. So you don't clean up behind yourself? Talking about you not going to cook and clean up. Now, I'm not saying that you need to be cleaning up behind him all the time, because men, you need to clean up behind yourself. Clean up. Everybody need to clean up. Clean up. Clean up. Everybody do your motherfucking share. But I've ran into too many women that don't clean, don't cook. That's essential to being a mate. That's essential to being a wife. While you have all these women, man, listen, I went to a chick house, dog. It just wasn't clean in there. Kitchen it wasn't what's up. It wasn't what's up at all. And it's like she was one of them women too at the time, working on her PhD and all of that bullshit. Now listen, if that's where y'all want to be, just don't complain. If y'all want to have the degrees, the cats, the house, whatever the case may be, and be by yourself, just don't complain. Don't get in the market and start nitpicking on men. But it has to be a mentality shift with the women. It has to be a mentality shift with the women. It has to be a mentality shift with women if we want this conversation to progress. Because men, I'm gonna say this too, going back to Kevin Samuels. When I came across Kevin Samuels' information, I didn't need it. One, because I lived a lot of what he talked about and just experience wise enough to be able to be like, okay, he's right about that. Read books, and I would say probably between, I don't know, 30 to 35, I went through a lot of life lessons that prepared me to even have the discussions I have now, and look back and say he's absolutely right, and I can give you examples on what he's talking about. So I didn't have to do like real deep dives with Kevin like some men may have had to do, because he actually talked a lot to men, but women. What he opened up the door for, the Godfather, RIP, what he opened up the door for was us to be able to say what our experiences are like with women because they hadn't heard it. And in those experiences, we can discuss a level of critique that, whether they like it or not, is beneficial to them, but it's very real and they don't want to hear it. For instance, again, like we were just talking about how we judge them and how they look. You know, a man really don't want a wife up no, preferably we don't want someone that's overweight. Men preferably don't want women. Now, yeah, they might get out there. What about you? You got a dad bod or whatever the case may be. But when you demanding somebody come in and take on responsibility and take you on as a responsibility and put their life on the line and pay a little cell phone and car note and all the shit that you barely paid can pay on your own, and they gonna put their life on the line for you, they kind of want what they want. A lot of men are, we want you to be in shape. We want you to be presentable. Now, for some men, that's not really the case, and there's levels to that. Of course, it means more of your personality and your character. Just being honest. But in a nutshell, men don't want their woman to be overweight. Uh, Generally, men do want to go for nicer looking. There's a level of woman. As a man, certain women. If you were to go after them, how much that's gonna cost. Let's talk about that too. You know that. Hey, look. Now, as gamed up as I am, and as fly as I am, and as much confidence as I have, you know, uh, do I have all the capabilities of being out and about somewhere and pulling I live in Houston, pulling a Joy Taylor type chick? Yeah, it's fine women everywhere. But like maintaining and keeping something like that, you're going to be spending money. We know that. There's other women, your pockets really do dictate what you can have if you want that. Again, most women are average. So because most women are average men, you actually got a large pool of women to pull from. It's just that a lot of those women don't think they average. A lot of those women don't understand that, hey, you're average, especially when you have children. When you are average looking woman and you have kids to go along with that, listen, things that okay, if the value for a man is in his pockets, right? Then your value is, if we're just going topical, if we're just being shallow. So if value in the man is in his pockets, then for women it's definitely going to be in your looks, how many kids you have, and can you cook. I don't care about that money and what you make in your degrees, because you just gonna try to use that to control me anyway. So I don't want no woman that's too big for her britches talking about that money shit. But it's, can you cook? Are you pretty? Are you overweight? And do you have kids? Because if you have kids and you are overweight and you can't cook, you're not high on anybody's list. This is not woman hate. This is me giving like a real. We know what women want from. Listen, man. Here's the game. Here's the gem. As a man, it's better for you to have some money. Even if it's just for you, bro. Your life is easier when you getting some money. So having some money is good for you, and we understand that to be with somebody that we really love and want to be with, you got to have some bread. Again, you're not going to be able to be with any woman and date any woman and you do not have money or you do not have a job. It's just not going to work. You can tell me about getting a woman and sleeping with her, but when we talk about maintaining them and keeping them, you're going to have money. We understand that. So why can't y'all understand that? Get in the gym. Get in the gym. Get in a cooking class. And be aware that if you have so many kids, especially if you have different baby daddies, that could also hurt the caliber of men you get. It's not hard for men to know where they are or where we lie in the dating pool, or sexual market value, whatever you want to call it. We know where we're at, but you as a woman, I don't think you know. So when you're listening to someone like a sprinkle, her old knobhead ass, when you listening to her, you really setting yourself up for failure. because a lot of what she's talking about is applicable to women that look better than her. So when Kevin Samuels is saying what he said about the lady looking like a linebacker, yeah, that went viral. Oh my God. Oh, he shouldn't have said she looked like a linebacker. What he's saying is, hey, you come on now. You don't have the best shape. You know, you're an average woman. You trying to go for who? You trying to go for that guy right there? You're probably better off with the metro bus driver or the postal worker who really wants to be with you. Like he like you. He like you for who you are, and y'all can come together and make it work. It's not really in your best interest to be shooting your shot towards a dude making $150,000 on his own when he can pull something better than you. Okay, I'm $150,000, and which this is not even average income. This is just how silly it's really making it. We want to shine a light how silly that idea is. I'm making $150,000 in Houston, Texas. I live in a loft somewhere by myself. Man, I can go to 5015. I can go to Mocha. I can go all these spots. Buy a woman drink. Just pull up to her. Hey, what you drinking on? Let me buy this. These your friends too? Buy the whole aisle drinks for them. It don't take much to get their number. Y'all know that, right? It's pretty. If you going after that, it's not hard. And he got it like that. You buying the bottles, whatever. You gonna get who you want out of that bunch. Knowing that I have a bigger net based off of my income, why would I come Captain Save a Hoe you and your 3 kids that ain't mine? Why in the hell would I come Captain Save a Hoe you and those 3 kids that ain't mine? There's a man that wants to be a stepdad to you, um, or what to those kids. There's a man that wants to be a second husband, or whatever the case may be, and he ain't in that. We all gotta understand that when you're an aftermarket product, you get customers looking for that. It's not gonna be the same. It's gonna be somebody in a different income level. When you go into Goodwill, hey, I'm not saying that uberly rich people don't ever go to these places and thrift shop, but when they uberly rich, they can just go get what they go wear what they want to wear. When people got money for real, they will wear what they want to wear. If you're an aftermarket product, what do I mean by that? Second marriage, material, multiple kids, hopefully by one man, but it could be by multiple different dudes, whatever the case may be. You are an aftermarket product. And as an aftermarket product, you're going to be um you're going to get the demographic that gets aftermarket products. So you better, this is why I say this, and this proves this time and time again. Women do not unconditionally love men. We really don't need to be looking for that. They have to have a mentality shift. They need to know that when they're getting in this relationship is good for them. And then the culture needs to encourage them. So they need to get it from their sisterhood. They need to get it from their parents. They need to get it from their family. That's where they need to understand that this is good for them. Because for the most part, they're not going to make these choices on their own. They're going to make poor choices. They're consistently making poor choices, and they listen to poor information based off of, again, self-service to themselves. If y'all just tuning in right now, hit that like button. Go ahead and tap that like button. Men often are more utility for women. Women, men are utility, meaning that what can you produce? What can you produce for me? That's how I'm going to love you. And then the romantic idea is that this man that is coming to take care of me and my kids or take care of me and my bills is also going to love me, and I have no real offering for him. So you used to have this what do you bring to the table conversation. That was a conversation that was being had, and I don't think it was articulated well enough. What a man is saying is when you coming to the table for me to pay your bills, take care of you and your lifestyle, woo 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 woo, whatever the case may be, right? What else are you giving me besides a fucking headache? What else are you giving me besides a headache? You know, we could totally be into it. We could totally be having a situation. I'm finna turn my phone. We could totally be having a situation where we into it, right? We totally into it. And just by you, just by you cooking, just by you cooking in the house, you've totally changed the paradigm of how I feel. Of how I feel. You totally. I came in here and I was pissed at you. And if you can you hear me, Jones? Because I'm coming through my car right now. If you can hear me, throw a 50K in the chat. If I'm coming through clear, I want to make sure I'm coming in clear. If you can hear me, 50K in the chat. And if you're just tuning in while I'm checking the vocal button, y'all go ahead and hit the like button. Yeah, body count matters too. It's time for us to just start telling, when you say overused cat, it's time for us to just start telling the truth. Body count does matter. I don't want you to have a lot of bodies if I'm gonna wife you up. Now I know in the 30s, to be totally honest, man, it. I'm not looking. I've said this on this channel before that I'm divorced, and I'm just praying for healing for my family and restoration between my wife and I, and my kids, because I had all 6 kids with my wife. And the reason why I'm really doing that because I could have done better. I talk about in regards to that. But I also don't want to get remarried because I'm not finna wipe these 40-year-old, 30, 40-year-old whores up. I'm just not gonna do it. Most of them didn't already been ran through and used and abused. I just don't want to wipe them up. I don't want to even be going through all the little stuff that you went through in your relationship. I just don't want to do it. One, I don't want to do it, and two, I just think it's better for my family to be together. And I don't want to casually be out here just having sex because, again, I really believe my message. It's like when you out here doing that, it's a lot of energy and a lot of time that get wasted in doing that. That's the spiritual side of the conversation. But while we at it, I'm just saying, the reason why I feel that way, you know, chastity matters. These women have had so much sex with so many different men. Then the ones where it was either condom sex or sex where they didn't orgasm, they really don't count that. They'll make up all kind of. They've had so much sex. They have such a distortion of it, and the relationship with men is ridiculous. It's hard to wife them. It's really impossible to wife them at a certain age. So the only thing I get a younger woman, but I'm almost 40. I ain't trying to get somebody 25. Whatever's I'm gonna let God decide that. And that's me being vulnerable with y'all and just talking as we had this conversation. Because I know what's out there. Because I ain't gonna lie, if I meet you and you in your mid 40s or late 30s, I just want to drop some. I'ma just want to drop some D in you. I'm not gonna want to wife you up. So we need to start being honest. It's like when you start talking bodies, even the body count, you'll have men come out. You ain't worry about that. We ain't worry about that. Man, you sound like a girl. A lot of these dudes is girls. A lot of these guys is straight up girls. Yeah, we ain't worried about that. We ain't worried about her body count because it matter. I don't want to wife up some that just been any and everywhere. I don't want to. I don't want a woman that just approves of the whole phase because she ignorant. I want a woman that has some chastity, some character about herself, some modesty. Yeah, that's what to be a wife. I didn't say that's what I'm looking for in somebody I just want to drop some D in. She could be whatever. That's why I said we love whores. Duh, we love whores. We're not saying we don't love you, but what we're saying is we don't want to wife you up. We don't feel comfortable making that type of investment in that. We don't really feel comfortable making that type of investment in wifing you up like that because we'd rather have somebody that got some character and some discipline about themselves. And it ain't no, I'm not even looking at responses from women where they go, well, what about? Ain't no what about. Because I gotta take you on as the wife. I gotta make the conscious decision to be with you. I gotta make the decision to put my life on the line for you and protect you and all of that. Yeah, we can separate the two easily, and they act like we can't. We know what wife material like. We know what whore material is like. We would prefer to have wife material. And the Bible says, a man that findeth a wife findeth a good thing. It's very hard to find them. But it's going to start with her mama. How did her mother raise her? A lot of what we're talking about in the modern conversation with women, they pick this up from them boomers. They pick this all up from them baby boomers. You know, this whole concept of, and some of this isn't exclusive racially, it's more exclusive to like just the culture in America, period. But like the whole idea of, when you're on your prom, you're gonna have sex at 18 instead of us talking about having, sex in a marriage. So that's more of a Western American thing. But it's definitely I'm glad you said that. I'm glad you said. I'm gonna pin this conversation. I'm gonna pin that. Hold on. I'm gonna pin this message so I know that I can get to it. In fact, I'm gonna talk about it now. You said you will find out when you take her around your family. I've said this before here, and you just made this apparent. If you gonna take a chick serious, you need to meet her family. You need to go around her family, but you definitely need to take her around yours. It's a way to vet a woman. You have to take her around your family. You have to see how they operate with the family. And it's best to get your elders to meet their elders. We don't talk a lot about that. I really hadn't heard nobody even. I'm just going to do my best to look through other content creators and information to see if I can see this. But you really don't have nobody even talking about that. Letting the family meet one another. You really don't hear that. You're not hearing a lot about letting letting the families meet each other. You go meet the family and then you bring her around your family. You're not really hearing a lot about that. That's important. Because everything. That's going to expose everything about this lady. One mistake I make with women is not giving them enough time to show what they really on. At me, a woman is trying, and I don't care what they say. A lot of them are trying to give that cat away so fast because they know that that's their bargaining tool to getting what they want. A lot of them, they talk all of this. That's how I know they be out here giving that cat up. They give it up. All of them, most of them will give that cat up pretty fast. And when you say that, well, you're generalizing. That's just what you've been through. Well, damn. If I didn't experience it 30 times, he didn't experience it 50 times, and he didn't experience it 40 times, and we compare notes. We can make a generalization. And it seems like most women are doing this. Very few. And that's exactly how they're gonna say, where you meet this girl at? Where that girl came from? Take them around your family. The modern woman has to be addressed. When Priscilla the Queenmaker said that 90% of the relationship issues are because of women, she needed that because she's a woman. But she not wrong. She's not wrong. I'm someone, listen, y'all. When you hear me talk about my relationship, I can actually say that had I been doing better in terms of just following God, doing the right things in my own life, I could have definitely prevented that divorce because I was the one that actually wanted it. I had issues with my wife being cooperable, but for the most part, I had most of everything I wanted. We were high school sweethearts. She was a virgin. All my kids came from her. Whatever. Like a lot of those things that would be important were cool, but the issues that I did have with her was like parental interference. her mother. She came out of a divorced household. So some of these things that I have experienced in and I can see the issues in, that's why I can talk on it. And I'm not just seeing it from her, I've seen it from other women. That was a problem for me. But a lot of the other men that I talk to, like my friends, family, or whatever the case may be, just and I'm talking about an array of people, a large amount of people, are good guys. I'm talking about didn't do what I did. Man, I would get out in the streets of Houston, Texas. I'm in Houston right now. Y'all don't know how fine. If you don't live in Houston, ain't been to Houston, these women in Houston are fine. And Houston is a big place. You could be somewhere all the way on the south side and have you a woman, and a woman on the north side and never know about it because she's not coming to the south side. I've experienced that. 10 toes in it. And you know, brothers that just won't do that. They're just anti that, anti cheating and all that, like I am now, but I wasn't then. And they still getting screwed over. They either still getting screwed over or mistreated by their women. I'm talking, I've seen a large collection of men that are really to their women. That's why I have this conversation because I'm not coming from a bitter place. I'm coming from what I've seen. And I've said this time and time before. I've never felt like a woman played on me. Now, you know, I had a chick one time I really liked, but I knew what it was. She was a smut. we sometimes fall in love with smuts. I knew what it was. I was a little hurt. You cannot bargain them away. By the way, you can't bargain a woman into messing with you. The only thing that'll wake her up or even want her to have her interested is if you've moved on and other women want you. That's something crazy that they be on. But for the most part, like I say, I don't come from a bitter place. But I've witnessed this in other men's lives, like where they've done all that they can do. They've been really good men and they're still being mistreated by their women. So when she makes that statement about different situations and scenarios, I know cat bro, I'm talking about will not on his old lady. Doing it the right way, and I'm glad. But this lady is mean and mistreats him. Lady is mean, mistreat him, you know, not disrespectful in front of others per se, but just things that I've caught and then I've had personal conversations with him. So I know he's not lying, but I'm talking about seemingly from the outside giving this lady everything she needs and treating him like shit. This be the case for a lot of them. This is the case for a lot of women, dog. This be the case for so many women. So when we say that 90% of the relationship issues are because of women, that's a fact. That's not a lie. I totally believe that. But I think the biggest issue with that is because for our women specifically, there just isn't a cultural install for it. There is no cultural install for our women to act accordingly in a relationship with black men. It just don't exist. Because honestly, I think our women I think all women find themselves being in competition with men, but I think to our women as though they're better, valuable. And I don't like the narcissist word. I think it gets around, but she's talking being narcissist. I know what she means by that. There's an element in narcissism where the narcissist does not. It's described as them not knowing that they're doing wrong, or they don't see it. I don't know if this is on purpose or if this is just some type of, you know, such a just some delusion in their brain that's preventing them from seeing their error. I don't think this is some genetic bullshit, by the way. I think this has a lot to do with programming. But the narcissist does not see wrong. The narcissist does not see wrong, does not see error, and will The narcissist will bargain with themselves, bargain with reality to make it look like it's always something else and not them. That's a part of it. I don't like the narcissist word. It gets thrown around too much. So it kind of devalues what it really means. But I'm just saying, this does happen. And a lot of women do that. And that's just akin again to that whole self-serving ideology they have. So when you talk about accountability, what Princella's really talking about, she's giving more of a breakdown of this accountability thing we think they have an issue with. And the accountability part is, I didn't do that. Or you told me to do that. I didn't know that was, there's just never any type. You can't, when you're dealing with someone like that, and this isn't just gender specific, but now we're just having a conversation. When you're dealing with somebody that cannot see any error in what they're doing, they don't even see where they may have played a factor. How can you have a strong relationship with that person? Because you'll never get any issues solved. You'll never get any problem solved. And the majority of men are dealing with a woman like that at their house. Majority of men are dealing with a woman who not only won't take the blame, but if she does, if it is found out that she screwed up, she has the wildest way of apologizing versus just saying, hey, I was wrong. This is how I was feeling when I did that. Let's get this corrected. And we're not only dealing with that in relationships, we're dealing with that in society as a whole. We're dealing with that in society as a whole to where we don't see them doing wrong in any way. We just let it slide. Just like that girl in North Carolina. I think she's from North Carolina, Charlotte. If I'm wrong, y'all let me know. Remember that girl that said she got kidnapped, got into it with her man or whatever the case may have been, and she staged her own kidnapping? Now they held her accountable in the courtroom. But still, there were women that actually came in defense of that. There are women that are still coming out in defense of Cheyenne Bryant. After it's been front like, hey, we don't think she got a degree. People will argue you in the comments about this lady having a degree. Doesn't have no, not that she might have got some little online degree. But I ain't seen nothing, no real, none of that. People will get on here and argue for this woman. So a part of what, again, Princella is discussing, or what we're all seeing when we have this accountability issue, is kind of that narcissism attachment to it. They all have it. A lot of them have that. And it said that men are more likely to be narcissistic. Maybe that's true. But I know that when we're dealing with them, they just rarely dial. They have a problem apologizing or confronting what they've actually done. You're going to have to bear the burden of saying, okay, I'm responsible for this. I'm accountable for this because I allowed you to do that. So that's why when we argue leadership, we're saying, well, if I'm going to be responsible and accountable no matter what, then I have to be the leader here. I'm the head honcho in charge. We're not going to share leadership because we know if we were to share some leadership, you said, dang, the last time I was here, you put me in timeout for no reason. I guess I was agreeing with you too much. Check you out, my brother. Hey, if I put you in timeout, I did not mean to do that. My apologies. It probably was an accident, man, because sometimes I hit somebody and then, I'll pick somebody that may be having a problem. So I'm sorry, bro. I hope you like the channel, subscribe. I hope you're part of the conversation. If you adding in stuff like what you just said now, we cool. It was I think, and I may have remembered that. It was an accident. Trust me, I did not mean to do that. Okay, my bad, man. My bad. I don't know what happened. So I didn't mean to do you like that. As soon as she started dating women, she changed her entire view. Well, I think Princella, the queen maker, is cap. I think she really want a man. If you know, like I know, and I know quite a few studs that played that stud character, and then all of a sudden they end up with a baby next Throw a 50K in the chat if y'all can hear me. Can y'all hear me? All right, good. I'm glad I'm back online. What can you tell me as a lesbian about any type of relationship? What can you tell me, to your point, Ansel? What can you tell me about my relationship or relationship with a woman? First off, you don't even have the same connection that I have with a woman. You cannot go get with a woman, have sex with this woman, and have a baby with this woman, and me looking at the baby that me and this woman in had. You can't do that. So the connection you gonna have with her ain't like the connection that I'ma have with her. The connection that you gonna have with her ain't like the connection that I'ma have with her. So you can't tell me nothing. You gonna have a lot more. Hey, if you're not putting no D to them, if you ain't putting no D in that service, what? Last time I saw you, one of my views was. If you ain't putting no D in that cervix or having babies with her, you ain't got no real control over her. You don't have no real, you don't have any real, she's not gonna respect Princella the Queen Maker the way she would a man. This lady not finna sit up here and respect you like that because you don't have no real, hey, Eric, yeah, let's get Eric out of here. I'm gonna give you a moderator privilege, Montez, Montaignes. So you can get him out. Help us out, Montaignes. I hope I'm saying that right. Yeah, we need the haters. Let's get the haters in here. But the thing is, you're never gonna have a relationship with that woman the way I have a relationship with that woman. At all. At all. So you can't give me no type of advice. You cannot give me any type of advice on what I need to be doing with this woman. Then she did the typical, when you listen to her talk about her relationship with the women, how she interacts with the women, she was just saying woman shit. Then I don't want no penis. I just want to be, we women, we supposed to be working together. They all think that in a relate. You going into the relationship with the problem that y'all have anyway, trying to solve the problem. Meaning that when they get in these relationships, they don't want no accountability. They don't want no responsibility. It's like we all working together. It ain't no we all working together. It's he's in charge. You're in there as his mate, his helper. He needs to respect you, but he's in charge and you need to be trusting his leadership. That's how it's supposed to go. It ain't this community thing. She done been with like 2, 3 women and it ain't worked out. But you also have a baby with a man. You was married to a man or had a baby with a man. Get out of here. A lot of them women are broken down inside. And a lot of them women have a misandrist energy, meaning that they hate men. They have an issue with men. A lot of these women are like that. They have a big issue with men. And it comes out when you having these kind of conversations. A lot of her rhetoric, a lot of her information, which is in this terrible, I'm talking about she had a lot of terrible dialogue against men, saying this is what men are. Men don't have a capacity to love. Men do have a capacity to love. A man can go to Burger King, see a woman, attractive woman behind the Burger King counter, get her number, start dating her, marry her, and change her life. When a man loves a woman, a man loves everything about that woman, even looks past the flags. A woman will fall out of love. A woman will fall out of desire. A woman to talk, go before God, make all her covenant, commitments about her marriage in front of God. Okay, she will do this. and 10 years in, lose desire, fall out of love, and be ready to leave. Period. With women, there's too much you have to be worried about when you with them. With women, it's too much that you have to be involved in or having to have for them to keep them happy and keep them around where they don't have to do that for us. And a lot of that has been the modern ideology placed on what they think that they should have the entire time. And because I'm telling you, if you go back through this live, everything you're saying, we dialoguing and coming together and really making the message stick. I can't do this without y'all. I Without y'all, I'm just up here talking. When y'all are chiming in and letting it be known, like, yeah, this is what it is, and we're writing this together. Y'all go ahead and hit that like, man, if y'all just tuning in. Hit the like. Let's get them likes up. Tap in, hit the like, throw 50K in the chat. Those that don't understand the 50K in the chat, that's symbolic of the 50,000 subscriber movement we have going on this year that we gonna get. But y'all go ahead and we are doing, the channel is doing really, really well. Also, if you want to support the show, look in the description and support the show. If you want to send me messages and conversation, things that I should talk about, things that you want to go in talk in more detail about, questions for charm god at gmail.com. I typically get these things posted. I'll let the mods post it or whatever, but right now I'm just talking. I started early this morning. I was only gonna go like maybe an hour. I think I didn't win two. Might you go 2.5, whatever. I might wrap up soon, but we just kicking it out there. We kicking some information. So I appreciate y'all for tuning in this Sunday morning. Yes, they're emotional creatures, and because they're so emotional and emotions dictate how they feel is so important, that's what makes them the thermostat of society and in a household with their emotions. That makes them the thermostat. So if she don't have a cultural install, I talk a lot about cultural install, the install of marriage, to be there no matter what, to be in there, to make that thing go no matter what. She'll definitely pull out that house. She'll definitely leave that house. And most of them will do that. Most of them will leave that house. Most of them will leave that house and pull out of that house based off of how they feel. Or just cause problems. Just cause problems within the household. So again, we have to address them in the dating space, because the modern woman, the modern Western woman, has to change her ideology. She has to change how she's thinking and functioning, because again, the two most important roles that she has is wife and mother. These are the two most important parts that she has. She's a wife and a mother. She has to change her ideology. She has to change her ideology. Because what you have out of men is what you got out of men for the most part. You have average income earners. You have men that have just enough energy to go to work and come home and really help keep the house afloat. What else do you want from this man? Hell, when they get through the door working 12, 13 hours, you're trying to put them to some more work. You need to be mindful of that. And the women that y'all are getting this advice from, most of the women that you're getting advice from, is just terrible advice. Again, when you talk about a Princella, when you talk about a Cheyenne, when you're talking about that Sprinkle, Shira, terrible advice. Women don't really need relationship advice from women outside of how to conduct themselves. They need women who are in successful relationships with men that they respect, What you need to be looking for with women is confirmation on how to conduct yourself in a relationship. But when it comes to getting in it and staying, you need to listen to what men are saying. You need to listen to what are the person that I want to make my life with. I need to be listening to him. I need to be listening to what they think about me. I need to be listening to what the men think about us. That's who I need to listen to, not people giving you this half-brain, silly advice. Y'all listen to Princella the Queenmaker tell y'all that men are garbage. Hey, y'all get the likes up. We done stepped up in here. Let's see if we can get them likes to 10. Let's go. Let's get it to 10. Let's get it to 10. Let's get them likes up to 10. Let me get 3 likes. Y'all go ahead and tap that like button. Let's get it. We just want 3 likes. It's like this Sunday. Hit them likes. Let's get them likes up. We're going for 10 likes. The audacity. I'm a truck driver working 14 hours, 6 days a week, and I used to ask, why am I so tired? Yeah. Y'all hit that like button. Get them likes up. I was working at the post office, dog. Working at the post office. Getting off from the post office. Ubering and lifting. And with the chick that I was with, this was like the next serious relationship I was in when I got out of my marriage. Some days I would be so tired from the post office. If anybody know anything about working at the post office, man, you gonna work. You gonna work. And I was a CCA, so 6 days, 12 hours, very possible. I was in the busy district, right? Well, yes, it's a busy district, but the station I was in was busy. Some days I wouldn't want to get out work and Uber and Lyft. Dog, you know this chick would be mad. I done been outside running from dogs. I didn't ran from some dogs, man. I was dropping off a package. My goofy self, man. I left my bag. You never supposed to leave your bag in the truck. And in the truck, I had my spray, my horn, everything that would help me get away from a dog, right? So I go drop off the package, and you know, it's like in my heart, bro. So look, it's a place in the Houston. I'm from Houston, live in Houston, but it's a place in the Houston area near called Lake Jackson. So down there it's more country, right? And that's why that was the station I was working in. And there was a lot of trailer homes down there. So I'm going to take the where I parked. I would deliver the mail to the mailboxes, but like I'ma say, ooh, I don't want to exaggerate, but I'm gonna say like 50 yards. So like half a football field. That's pretty far to this little spot. I had to go take shout out to Dallas then. I had to go take the package all the way to this trailer home. Man, I knew it was a dog back there, but the dog is typically chained up. Man, I took the damn package back there and I could hear him. Dogs, I don't know why dogs do this, but when they're about to bite you or try to, they start barking. Even when they get right up on you. It's the silliest shit on the planet. You learn a lot about dogs when you're delivering mail. Man, I was putting the package down and seeing the dog. Woo! Man, I'm taking off. So now here's the funny part. He chasing me, and there's some damn dogs. These other little like chihuahua yappy dogs that would always come out. I was really trying to sneak past the yappy dogs because I ain't want them to be loud. But this motherfucking dog then started chasing me and then got the yappy dogs going crazy. So everybody, all these dogs on my ass, the owner's coming out, he's not gonna bite. Man, he gonna bite. So I in the midst of getting back to the truck, I dropped my damn phone. In fact, the phone I'm talking on right now, I dropped it. So I had to go back, scoop up the phone, and get back to the damn truck. I'm talking about, bruh, I'm about to be 40 years old, man. I ain't 22. I ain't 23. I ain't young and a teenager. And I'm talking about our dog. When I mean ran, body hurting, body aching, right? I get out work, want to come home, chill, and you still expecting me to go out here and Uber and Lyft too after I just got. I mean, it's the type of stuff I was going through, working, walking all day in the sun, doing all of that. Y'all go ahead and hit that like button, hit that subscribe button if y'all just tuning in. I'm Boy Jew the Charm God. You tuned in to the Charm Hour. We have uncomfortable, controversial conversations in regards to relationship. Y'all might have just came in halfway through my little mailman story or whatever. I am making a point here, but y'all hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. But yeah, like wanted me to get off work from doing that, right? And then you want me to go work some more. I don't mind it. I don't mind working. That's the thing. I work now. I work overtime all the time. It's nothing wrong with working, but you want my body to be so broken down and you're unappreciative about it just so you can go do shit. A lot of them are like that. We don't talk about that. We do not, we seldomly don't talk about that at all. We don't have enough conversation about what men are really experiencing in these relationships. We do not have a lot of conversation, and that's what I bring here. I'm telling you, this is what that shit really look like. This is what men are dealing with women. This is how men see it. Hold up. This is how men see it. This is how when we're dealing with women, we didn't need Princella the Queen Maker to tell y'all some shit we already know when we dealing with women because we're. This is why the Tory Lanez Megan Thee Stallion thing is an issue for a lot of men because we've all been in a similar situation. You was dealing with a chick, you was fucking her, things didn't really work out. Now she tripping and telling everybody a certain narrative about you. We've all been there. We dealt with that. I'm not saying Tory. I don't know what he did. I don't really know what he did. I don't think he should have shot her. I don't think none of that should have happened. All that lame, crazy stuff. No, it should never be domestic dispute involved. But it's enshrouded in just a lot of nonsense. We've been there before. You done been dealing with a chick. Y'all break up. And you hear a whole entirely different story somewhere else about her. About some crap that went on with her. About you. Where she lying on you. These women will lie. We know this. We know this, dog. We know this. And they can be extra mean. So what you seeing, especially on this channel, we dive into what shit is really like. How is it really popping out here in relationship world with them? I was married for 29 years, gave this woman my all, and my best wasn't good enough for her. And she said, yep. Man, I'm sorry to hear that. You are not alone with that, Montaignes. That happened. And that happens to a lot of men. We need to talk more about that. They'll just get unhappy. Yes, she lied about who she was sleeping with. The reason why she totally lied is because this is what happens. They want to look as pristine as they can look because they don't want you to judge them. They don't want to be judged accordingly, and they don't want to be judged fairly. They want to have a leg up. And I agree with you on that too. We have to put ourselves first, and the woman needs to fall in line with that purpose, and then we progress on. Because usually when we put them first, it's a lot of detriment to us. I feel like I did that in my marriage too. You know, my wife's a nurse practitioner making a gazillion bucks. I paid for her to go to school. And all to, in the end, be an ain't shit guy. You know, so I put a lot of investment in her. And I think a lot of us do that as men. For somebody like Princella to say that, you know, we're heartless and we don't love them, But we will give them our life. We're created to give our lives up for them. We do that. And a lot of times it's often not appreciated. They're shitting on you. Relationship goes south. They want some money. Kids, they want to control custody. And it's legislated in such a way that it's just out of hand. This is what men are really going through. So when we hear somebody like Princella say, oh, uh, they're narcissists. 90% of the issues be them. Yeah, we've lived it. We've lived through moments where we felt that way about them because we've experienced it. But they will lie, and they will lie because they want the best perception of themselves. Just like when, I know people that have gone through divorce, and that woman made that man out to be the worst thing since sliced cheese. Sliced cheese ain't bad. I don't know if they did Parmesan sliced cheese. I hate Parmesan cheese in the way it smells. Whatever the case, extreme gaslighters. They will gaslight you, can't give you an honest upfront answer to save their life. To save their life. Megan, did you sleep with Tori? I mean, come on, man. Even Gayle King with her old fine ass, she had to say, Megan, you wasn't giving up that cake. No, only to come out later to say, why you lie about it? Here's another thing, too. If that was a platonic relationship, why didn't you call the police that night? All this no snitching culture, no, call the police that night if that's a real issue. You call the police, didn't call the police or nothing. They'll get mad and they will sabotage a situation to make you look like you are the worst thing since Joe Jackson mixed with Ike Turner. That's why you got to be very careful dealing with them. Very, 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 very careful dealing with them at all times. Because they will lie and everybody will just accept it. I had a post on Facebook talking about this. And women and men, some men too. Oh, she got a restraining order against him and you're just supporting him. How am I supporting Tori by saying she full of shit? See, look, this is how I operate. This ain't gender specific. This is how I operate. Tell me the truth. Don't be a liar. When you start lying and things don't add up, I'm going to lose my faith in you. That's a woman or man. I'm going to lose my faith in you. Don't make me lose my faith in you. But hey, I'm glad y'all tuned in. This was a great one. Y'all got to run this back. Don't forget to hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, throw 50K in the chat. We had another great one. This was a very, very good one. I would advise that y'all go through this. In fact, go through all the lives. They all line up and make sense in what I'm talking about in saving relationships for our families. But we're not going to get nowhere if we're not having this type of dialogue and talking about the dysfunction. But y'all have a good Sunday. Peace.